Welcome to the Block Exploring podcast, your first step into the world of crypto and blockchain. The Block Exploring podcast is your one-stop place to find quick, clear, and unbiased information on everything in the crypto space. Our goal is to help you grow familiar with the crypto space by growing along with us as we go on our crypto journeys. Follow @Block Exploring on Twitter for our newest uploads and our publishing schedule. We, here at Block Exploring, are crypto enthusiasts working hard towards becoming experts. Today's podcast is presented by co-hosts Tommy and Elias. Find us on Twitter under @SabaiSquared and @OtokoCrypto. Right now you can find us on Spotify and YouTube. Before we start the episode, we would like to inform you that we are not financial advisors. Therefore, nothing said in this podcast should be considered financial advice. Always contact your financial advisor before making any investment. With that said, sit back and enjoy today's podcast.
Hey, Block Explorers, it's Tommy, alias on the mic, ready for another news Byte episode of the Block Exploring podcast. Welcome, very happy to have you as usual. A lot of things have been happening this week, and we're just gonna get into it as usual. And the first thing we're gonna talk about this episode is the flippening, guys. ETH potentially, maybe, could happen in future, overtaking Bitcoin. So like Bitcoin price has been, fluctuating, teetering around the 50K, 53K mark, whilst ETH has had this like incredible, bullish momentum that's, been supported by Bitcoin's loss of dominance. But overall, Ethereum has a lot of things going for it in general. Like ETH 2.0 is coming out soon. Well, we hope soon. Everyone knows.
We hope, yeah.
Exactly the issues with ETH as a completely decentralized network. Upgrades can take some time, but when I believe at least when ETH 2.0 comes out, it's gonna be mad. It's gonna be a mad thing. When ETH becomes a deflationary asset, I think just this bullish momentum is gonna carry on, and depending who you are, you might think ETH might overtake Bitcoin, and the flippening is true. What do you think, Elias?
What do I think? We were about to go off at each other before the podcast about this.
About this.
So we just kept it for this. I think no. I think Bitcoin will be above ETH because Bitcoin has no real competition, and Ethereum does have the competition of being like the network it is. You have, for instance, Cardano with a very similar network who has already these kinds of solutions to scaling problems and that kind of stuff integrated into its ecosystem. And I feel like the fact that Ethereum has this competition will maybe, make it a bit more competitive for it to get closer to something like Bitcoin. Whereas Bitcoin is just if you're a retail investor, you get into crypto, first thing you buy, odds are Bitcoin. Second thing you buy is ETH, and then you might go into some altcoins, But the first thing will always be, I feel, Bitcoin. I feel that's the one thing that attracts people. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my reasoning for why Bitcoin will be above ETH, mainly due to its unrivaled nature. There's no real.
This is good because we stand on the two sides of this debate, so to speak. Because I think for me, what Bitcoin has going for is its dominance in the market. It's the view that Bitcoin is number one, and then that's what people initially are drawn to when they get exposed to crypto and that, and then this narrative that it is digital gold. So like what I come back to with your argument that ETH has these competitors and that I believe that ETH in the crypto network space has that dominance which Bitcoin is said to have on the crypto market, but ETH has this on the network space, right? But also I feel like with ETH 2.0, it's really going to bring forward ETH in terms of combating these issues that its rivals try to compete with them with, and
Mhm.
it's that coupled with its dominance, I think, will maintain ETH on the top of this space, and maybe, I mean, depends if you're ETH maximalist, you're probably hoping that it flips Bitcoin, but that's probably why I believe it's gonna flip Bitcoin, because once Bitcoin starts losing its dominance in the space, I think it doesn't have that much going for it other than it's the narrative that it is a good store of value. It is because it's known to not be the ideal payment, payment settlement network or currency for that matter. So it's just this. I feel like it's the dominance like that you spoke of, and
Yeah.
this narrative of digital gold. But then what I say to digital gold is, I only know of a few people in real life who actually invest in gold, physical gold.
True.
So my thing is, it's just this digital gold narrative is just something that's being said, not that anyone really cares for what digital gold actually means, or what it means to invest in digital gold.
Yeah.
And in terms of institutional investment, which I think we'll talk a lot more later in the episode, I
Mhm.
think ETH might mean more to institutions than Bitcoin ultimately, just due to the productivity of the asset. I
That's true.
think ETH
I think
goes
that
a long
definitely.
way in terms of productivity versus Bitcoin. Just the value that you can extract from ETH, like just staking it, all the applications that are already built on the chain.
Mhm.
I think institutions are going to start aping into ETH a lot more, and that may be the catalyst for a flippening, if that were to even happen. Is if institutions start aping into ETH.
Fair. No,
But
what I think is with a coin like ETH, you see this kind of you see the parallel development of especially Cardano.
mhm,
And what I personally believe will happen is that other, developers will switch their projects over to the Cardano mainnet once
mhm,
the smart contract updates become a bigger thing, and especially with the expanse that Cardano made this week towards Africa, Cardano Africa.
yeah,
I
that
feel like it will attract a lot more usage, and it will become way more of a relevant
mhm,
alternative to Ethereum. And for me, the big issue with the reasoning of Ethereum, it might flip Bitcoin because it has more utility, and Bitcoin is just a store of value, a digital gold. Is
mhm,
that sure? But gold doesn't really. If you look at gold as an asset, right? It doesn't really have a competitor. You have silver, but it's not as valued.
mhm,
You know, Bitcoin doesn't have. I don't know. For Ethereum, there's Cardano, there's Matic, there's those
mhm,
kinds of coins. For Bitcoin, there's no like name a Bitcoin killer. Yeah, sure, a lot of things have been dubbed Bitcoin killers, but very few of them are actually similar. Like
mhm.
it's hard to come by. And I think the fact that there is no other, like no Bitcoin Lite. I mean, you have
Yeah.
Litecoin. That's just the competitor of Litecoin is
Mhm.
Bitcoin Cash. But there's no Bitcoin
No,
alternative.
you're right
And the
about
fact that
that. Yeah,
it
yeah.
has that scarcity, is it scarcity or scarcity?
Scarcity.
Scarcity.
Yeah.
There's a I think that's why it will be the gold.
Mhm.
But I think you should also see it as the gold being number one, not per se being, digital gold.
Right.
I
Okay.
feel like that's what, because if you see any change in Bitcoin, is a change in the crypto market, if it
For
goes
now.
down.
Yeah.
Exactly. But maybe for a longer time. And I don't know. I think indeed ETH has a lot more utility than Bitcoin will ever have.
Yeah,
Like
I think
transfer anything
ETH
on
is the
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin killer
You think
potentially,
so?
because I mean, if ETH like flips Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm.
then this idea that Bitcoin is undefeated number one crypto is just not the case
Yeah.
anymore, and that for a lot of people is the reason why they actually invested in Bitcoin as a store of value, because it is number one. So
Mm-hmm.
if the flippening were to happen, I think Ethereum would be the Bitcoin killer,
That's
because
fair.
then that's one of two things, narratives that then are just eliminated completely, and
Mm-hmm.
then Bitcoin maxis are gonna cry
That's true.
rivers. oceans, you know. But
Yeah.
an interesting quote that I saw was that Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank,
Mm-hmm.
he's recently got into the crypto game, and he was saying that Bitcoin will always be the gold and Ethereum will always be the silver, and
Mm-hmm.
Ethereum will always be second to Bitcoin. You know, so that's his hot take of the week. He, you know, Mr. Wonderful has lots of hot takes, but
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, the question you should ask yourself is like, does he know? I think no one knows. But
exactly. I
the
mean, this
one,
guy
I
just
think
got into
this,
the space, and
yeah,
he's trying to control the narrative already. Like, my
yeah.
God, come on, bro. I
No,
mean,
but I
you know,
think
he's a billionaire. He can say whatever he wants, but
true.
he's
If he wants to sponsor us, it's also completely cool.
yes,
We completely
yes,
agree with you, dude. No, I'm
yes.
just kidding. But I think you have to watch out because these narratives about Bitcoin, you know, like, oh, Bitcoin's not going to be number one forever. Not to be a Bitcoin maximalist. They only happen when Bitcoin drops for a while,
Right.
you know?
Hmm.
So I think it's also a lot of sentiment that kind of stirs these kinds of discussions up again.
For sure.
I think you should always be weary of that because it's I also saw a lot of these articles just appear like, oh, ETH is going to pass Bitcoin. I mean, if you see it all the time, but especially when it's down bad, and Bitcoin has been down bad. It dropped below $50,000 for a while,
Mhm.
and it you also got to take into account that it hit an all-time high of $64,000. So it's a big flip that's going on
Yeah,
just for Bitcoin itself.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyways,
We'll
like,
see what
you know,
happens.
we can't call the future, but you know, at least we have a there's a debate that's very interesting that's going on. You know, and like I don't think
Definitely.
Elias or I are maxis for any of these cryptos. I mean,
Buy
at
both,
least
man. Buy
yeah,
both.
buy both exactly. I mean, no fan, do whatever you want. No financial
Don't get
gain.
attached. I also wouldn't advise anyone to be a maximalist on
Yeah.
anything. I'd say diversify over a lot of coins.
I'm a
I
big
think.
proponent of interoperability
Hmm.
generally, you know, especially if we're talking about these different chains and that. I
Yeah.
mean, I think interoperability, I think it's healthy for the space to have competition as well because it actually forces, you know, uh, innovation.
Yeah. And also, what you see is a lot of these projects are moving towards this with like the blockchain 3.0 like proposed by Atom and stuff. It's just a natural development. And a
Right.
good point I saw made about all this like Bitcoin maximalism or ETH maximalism is that it's just another form of centralization.
Hmm.
If you are saying this one crypto is the future, you're still saying, you know, to a certain degree that there will be a centralized coin, you know, because you're referring to just Bitcoin as the future.
Right.
That's a point to be made. I think you need the different tokens for it to be
Hmm.
truly decentralized.
I mean, just think in real life, we have different currencies. Like, it's just
Yeah,
how it is. Like, you know, and they have to manage to cooperate, you know, in the same world. So it's going to be the case on the
exactly.
chain, on the blockchain.
On the blockchain.
Yeah. But let's move on to South America. Have you been to South
Yes.
America? Yes,
Uh,
you have. No.
Caribbean.
Yes, you
Caribbean.
are. Exactly. That's why. Yeah, you better
Very
ask.
close.
Yeah, close enough, dude.
True.
But I didn't mean to offend anyone. But you know, but it
It's
seems
okay.
like mass adoption is on looming in South America as South America's second largest company accepts crypto payments. So
Hmm.
Argentinian online marketplace Mercado Libre has launched a crypto section on its platform, enabling purchases for real estate in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
This is huge. So you can actually, it's now possible to buy real estate in Argentina and Uruguay with Bitcoin. Can you
Yeah.
imagine?
I think it's a great development, and it also shows how promising Argentina is with crypto adoption,
Hmm.
because it might be partially due to like its economical state right now that, you
Mad
know,
inflation.
yeah, and
Mad
but that they're
inflation.
not hedging it by, or that they're not preventing their citizens from buying anything like Turkey is.
Hmm.
You can
No,
see how
exactly.
yeah, the debt obligations and high inflation that happened in Argentina kind of drove everyone to seek an alternative without the Argentinian government saying you can't buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, and like,
And you see a very healthy move.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and it just shows like the power of Bitcoin, you know, and not just Bitcoin, but cryptocurrencies and blockchain in general, and being able to, you know, allow for people to hedge against their own, you know, countries, nations' currency, and, you know, pull them, not allow themselves to be, you know, and their lives to be dictated by poor economic decisions or whatnot, you know, a poor economic situation. But now we see companies in South America, you know, enabling mass adoption within South America, and this move to allow for citizens to buy real estate in Bitcoin, I think that's super interesting. And apparently, to mark the launch of this real estate crypto section, the company hosted a webinar on cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies, and this was actually attended by 300 real estate agencies and companies. So that signifies, I think, a lot of interest in these companies and people in general in adopting cryptocurrency, blockchain technology into their own businesses, into their lives.
Yeah, and I think it also shows
Pretty awesome.
the operability of Bitcoin as a currency, at least. Maybe not as a super efficient currency, but at least that it's usable and that its value is being now equated to cars and houses, you know, making it like usable in the real world.
And that's what you want. I mean, that's ultimately what's needed for mass adoption. Just more and more things will need to be able to be paid for in these cryptocurrencies, right? It's not just funny money in the sky, but, you know, you can actually tangibly make use of it.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the main characteristics of this bull run, right? It's gone from the Bitcoin, a magical internet currency, you know, wasn't that the thing that they called it in like 2017?
Yeah.
To an actual usable currency, you know?
No, yeah.
So I think that's a big thing.
And just to add on to the end of this is that in a recent Decrypt survey conducted by Visa, so it's not a Decrypt survey, it's a survey conducted by Visa, it found that Latin Americans, you know, 25% of respondents were actually more eager to use digital assets to pay for things. Wow. So that's kind of huge. You know, I don't know how many respondents they had in general, but I feel like 25% is a significant number, and I'm sure that's a growing number as well. Like, there are loads of South American influencers, crypto influencers, and especially in Argentina, because I think Argentina has been a hotspot for crypto adoption in general.
I think so. That's definitely, I think, the countries where inflation is more like that, you can really feel the inflation, you know.
Right.
That's where the crypto adoption is going rampant, you know. And you have spots like, I mean, in Europe and the US, there is inflation, impending inflation, I think.
Yeah, it's coming.
But it's not as, you know, people only will do something once they feel it, you know. So I think that's also something that could lead to a higher adoption of cryptocurrencies in general. It's like once Europe and America start really feeling this, you know, the effects of all their money printing.
Yeah, exactly. The effects of the monetary policy, the devaluation of their currency. I think, you know, it's just sad that people only realize too late about, you know, these things. But, you know, that's why, you know, in the crypto space, you'll always hear influencers talking about being ahead of the curve, being ahead of the herd. And that's necessary in real life as well. Like, you know, you just have to be aware of your surroundings and act accordingly. You know, and hopefully you're acting before the herd and before you are actually affected by, well, before it's too late, you know, to you know, put yourself in a good position.
Yeah.
And being in crypto blockchain space is putting yourself in a good position, if I do say so myself. You know, so that's you know, that's why we're in it, right?
Yeah.
Because, well, we're bullish on the spaces, you know. So preface.
And gives you more ownership over own currency, you know, like
Mm.
these organizations that let you actually actively vote on the policies rather than, you
Yeah,
know, some centralized authority who says we will print
right.
this much money.
Mhm.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it's
a big
nice being
difference.
your own bank, eh?
Yeah.
Like, like that's what it is. I mean, to be in crypto is almost to be like your own bank, and you can really decide what kind of, you know, financial products you're engaging with. Because okay, so like in a bank, right? So they take your money in the, you know, that you've
Hmm.
deposited, and they do all kinds of. They make so much money for themselves, right? They do all kinds of things with your money, right? Invest in
Yeah.
that, this, that, you know, do all kinds of things, create synthetic shares, blah blah blah, you know, and then they pay you like a fraction, you know, just a ridiculous interest rate. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's not even a 1%. It's like a 0.01% for most people. I mean, I don't know whenever it'll become negative, but you know, so to be in control of your own funds and to be able to choose what financial products you're participating in or protocols you're participating in, you're doing exactly what the bank is doing,
Yeah.
and you're reaping the yield for that. You're reaping the higher interest rates for your own money, as opposed to
Yeah.
it all going to a banker's pocket.
Hmm. And that's exactly, and especially with these low interest rates, now you're even seeing negative interest rates, which is in fact the bank saying
Yeah.
we don't really care about your money. Like it can be
Exactly.
here, you could have it in your fridge.
Yeah, it's
It
just
will cost you money to store it with us.
that,
So
and that's just ridiculous, you know. I mean, uh, for it to cost money for you to guys, people, you know, get into crypto, figure it out. Like, you know, educate yourself, listen to the Block Exploring podcast, listen to other podcasts, look at, you know, research on YouTube. Like, you know,
yeah,
there's so much information out there. Please just educate yourself, you know, because now is the time to start. Like, you know, it's still early in the space.
yeah,
So yeah, literally now is the best time to start, because you didn't start in 2017, you didn't start in 2013. You better start now.
no,
You know.
definitely, no,
Yep. Sounds good. Be there early, you know, before mass
be there early,
adoption. But
just like PayPal.
exactly, PayPal, you know, Coinbase, you can now like make purchases on Coinbase, buy cryptocurrency directly using a debit card, and bank accounts linked through PayPal. So PayPal here is really making it easy for you to buy crypto.
Yeah, that's true. I was reading about this, and the first thought that crossed my mind is whenever whenever I put money into Litecoin, it was because this new thing that PayPal pioneered, PayPal crypto merchant payments,
Mm-hmm.
was about to come out. And what this effectively does is it takes your crypto, it converts it whenever you're buying something into fiat that is then sold to, or like given to the merchant.
Mm-hmm.
So through PayPal that happens.
Yeah.
And right now, you know, PayPal is aping into crypto. You can buy directly via PayPal. That's
Mm-hmm.
cool. But what PayPal would truly add to this mass adoption is an actual wallet
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
by
agree.
PayPal where you could hold your crypto, because that's truly saying this has value. Not
Right.
just you can sell it and then we'll sell it for actual money, not your fake internet money,
Yeah.
or you know, like you can buy it with our money.
No, no. That I totally agree. Like if they created a wallet that would just create, it would just be so easy
Yeah.
for, you know, more people to onboard crypto, because
Hmm.
I mean PayPal for many people is a trusted corporation, and if they already use PayPal, you know, every
Yeah.
day I use PayPal, like everyone uses PayPal, you know, it's very common to use PayPal, right?
Yeah.
So like if PayPal were to have a wallet, I think it would have there that'd just be an opportunity to onboard so many people to actually start using cryptocurrencies. And yeah, like MetaMask, like just look at MetaMask. Like MetaMask has loads. I mean, I don't know the figure now, but I feel like they hit over 1 million active users or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
They
so
did.
you know that's just insane. And you know, and they initially MetaMask was like completely free to the public and that, but they've just recently turned on their revenue generating mechanism of sorts, and they're killing it basically. So if this is just another opportunity for PayPal to kill it in their aping into the crypto space.
But PayPal definitely one of the largest companies in the fintech sector that's actually giving a legitimate, they're a massive company, so they really have to ease into anything, and that adoption will take. It's not like they can just say, hey, we'll accept Bitcoin and we won't immediately transfer it into fiat whenever you deposit it to us.
Yeah, I feel like if you're a corporation, like it's just a difficult thing to do in general, and like maybe more people need to consider that, because it's I mean, corporations, it's not just like people, they're corporations with stakeholders, shareholders, different people, so it's loads of levels to consider in a corporation. So we're taking on an asset class like crypto means a lot of things that
especially
that
for
need
a
to be
giant.
Considered. Exactly, for a big giant, public company.
No, definitely. That's amazing that they're actually doing it.
No, yeah, exactly. I think it's just so good for the space that these companies are actually moving and trying to develop in crypto. And I'm sure, like, loads of companies probably get it wrong, or most companies, will try to centralize some aspect, but then they'll realize, like, kind of not the vibe,
That's not why people go into crypto. No,
exactly. From one overlord to another overlord. That's just not what people are about these days,
No. Yeah. Moving from PayPal, we have our final segment is Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin has been recovering from the dip.
I'm sure Bitcoin holders all around are rejoicing.
Yeah, it's going back up, and it's it was definitely not a crash as everyone was saying. Like we discussed last week, that there was this
cringe,
this scare going on, that everything
FUD.
like Bitcoin is crashing.
Yeah.
Those kinds of YouTube videos were all over my recommendations page, by the way. Thanks YouTube for giving me a heart attack.
Solid algorithm.
Before I got to check my CoinGecko, let me just check that first.
Yeah.
And so it's recovering now. And I think an interesting development surrounding Bitcoin this week was the Tesla selling. So Tesla sold 10% of its Bitcoin investment, and they sold it. And this is in an interview with Elon, that it was to show that it's a good alternative to cash. And this was according to Business Insider. I don't know what I have to say about that statement. It's a good alternative to cash, maybe on a balance sheet. Yeah,
I think just to show that it's still liquid, right? Because they have to prove to their shareholders that this is not. It's not going to be difficult to liquidate their asset.
Yeah, and also because Tesla, it met the expectations for profit, but on the revenue side, it fell a bit short. And I think to boost that revenue, they sold a bit of that Bitcoin,
Yeah, potentially. But it comes back to what we were just saying, right? They're a public company. Yeah. They have to do these things. Like, it's not, they have to do these things to prove stuff to their stakeholders. They have, they have to take care of their balance sheet and revenue sheet and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it makes sense, why they might do something like that.
Yeah, but I think also the timing was a tiny bit unfortunate, because the sell happened during the dip, and this I think it kind of gave some investors the feeling like, oh, Tesla is taking its losses,
right?
And there was this entire thing, a misconception that Elon was also selling his Bitcoin, but he didn't. He actually came out publicly and said that he didn't. He said, no, this was just to show that that Bitcoin is a liquid asset. So
right.
I think that's a good point to be made. I just think whenever you read the headline by Business Insider, it almost sounds like they're saying, Bitcoin, that's basically cash. No. Don't just read the headline, because it isn't. The transfer fees of Bitcoin are insane. If you want to move even a tiny bit of Bitcoin, well, you gotta hustle up, a month's rent.
Yeah, which they have, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And just to add a bit to that, just like in terms of the information you're getting about the crypto blockchain space, like maybe try, crypto and blockchain native, information sources. There are loads of news sources that are crypto and blockchain native. Loads of people on YouTube who've been making, informational videos for ages about the space, and they'll probably have a better idea of, what's happening in the market and how they're describing it and like what it actually means. And it's not like, you won't get this misrepresentation where, maybe Business Insider has these headlines which makes it seem that Bitcoin is like cash, which we would believe is not the case. And it's probably not how it would be characterized by any crypto native either.
No. You have Bitcoin and you have Bitcoin Cash. So
there's exactly two different cryptos right there.
Yeah, but I think that was it for this week in crypto, right? Yeah, so
I think so. I mean, loads of stuff happens, guys. The crypto space moves very, very fast.
Yes, sir, definitely. So keep block exploring, and we will see you in next week's episode of
Peace.
News Bites. Bye bye.